The first thing he said that morning was, "Mom, stop embarrassing me. You're not even successful." I froze, standing by the kitchen counter with the spatula still in my hand. The words came from my 17-year-old son, Noah, the same kid I'd once carried through sleepless nights, who now looked at me like I was some kind of failure. He sat at the breakfast table, scrolling on his phone, wearing that hoodie I'd saved 3 paychecks to buy. The eggs hissed in the pan. Outside, Seattle rain tapped against the window. I managed to ask, quietly, "What did you just say?" He didn't even look up. "Dad says you never went anywhere in life. That's why you're stuck here in this old house, working at a clinic." Then he smirked, the same smirk his father used to wear before leaving. I wanted to answer, to fight back, but the sound of rain filled the silence between us. He finished his breakfast, grabbed his bag, and walked out. The door slammed shut. That was the morning everything cracked. I raised Noah alone since he was 2. His father, Mark, left after getting a promotion in Chicago. He said I was too small town for his new life. He sent checks for a few years, then stopped when I refused to move closer to him. I worked double shifts at the community clinic in South Seattle, patching up kids with scraped knees and old folks with loneliness in their eyes. Every night, I came home exhausted, smelling of antiseptic and rain. Noah would already be asleep, a tiny figure curled under his blanket. I'd sit by his bed, brush his hair back, and whisper, "You'll never have to feel small, not like I did." But as he grew older, things shifted. When Noah entered high school, Mark suddenly reappeared, this time driving a Tesla and wearing a tailored coat. He started showing up at Noah's basketball games, cheering from the sidelines like he'd been there all along. The other parents whispered how great it was that his father was back. Noah started spending weekends with him, coming home with new sneakers and a different kind of attitude. He'd ask why I still lived in a tiny house, why I didn't upgrade like Dad did. I tried to explain. "Money doesn't build a home, Noah. Time does." He'd shrug. "Yeah, but money helps." Each word chipped away at something inside me. Then came the college letters. Noah had been accepted into the University of Washington, his dream school, but Mark insisted he should go to Chicago instead, to follow opportunities. He said he'd pay the tuition only if I contributed equally. When I said I couldn't afford it, he laughed over the phone. "You've had 17 years to get your life together, Claire. Maybe stop playing the single mom victim card." Noah overheard that call. The next day, he told me flatly, "Dad's right. You never tried hard enough." That night, I cried quietly in the kitchen, careful not to make a sound. I realized my son didn't just admire his father, he was starting to believe I was the reason his life was smaller than it could be. 2 weeks later, I found a bank withdrawal on my account, $3,000 gone. It didn't take long to learn the truth, Noah had taken it. He admitted it over dinner, saying Mark told him it was fine since it's for college. That was when something inside me went cold. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just said, "You'll get that money back in 1 month, Noah. And you'll do it without his help." He laughed in disbelief. "You can't tell me what to do." But he was wrong. The next morning, I locked my account, froze the joint card, and told him rent, groceries, and everything else would now come from his grown-up plans. I canceled the internet for a week. I told the landlord not to renew the lease, I had other plans. Then I packed a single suitcase. When Mark called, furious, I calmly said, "You wanted to show Noah what real independence looks like. Go ahead." He cursed and hung up. Noah called later that night, voice shaking with anger, demanding I come fix this mess. I didn't. I let him stay at his father's fancy condo, let him see what success looked like when it was built on someone else's money. 3 months later, I got a message from him, just 3 words. "I want to talk." We met at a small diner off Pine Street. He looked thinner, quieter. Turns out, Mark had lost his job. His company merged, the Chicago boss took over, and the condo was being sold. Noah had been sleeping on a friend's couch for a week. He looked at me the way I used to look at him when he was little, eyes wide, waiting for comfort. "I didn't know," he whispered. "I know," I said. He told me how Mark had started blaming him for everything: tuition, rent, even groceries. When he tried to get a part-time job, Mark said it was embarrassing for the family. It was the same voice that once told me I wasn't enough. Now, Noah was hearing it too. I listened without judgment. Then I told him quietly, "Do you remember when you said I wasn't successful?" He nodded, ashamed. "I was never trying to impress the world, Noah. I was trying to protect you from it." He cried then, not loudly, just tears slipping down his cheeks. People around us kept eating their pancakes, pretending not to see. After that day, things didn't change overnight. But something in Noah softened. He moved back in with me when I rented a small apartment closer to the clinic. He started working part-time, saving up, learning to cook simple meals. Sometimes, when I came home late, I'd find him waiting with dinner on the table, quiet, nervous, like he was still making up for something. One evening, he handed me a small envelope. Inside was $3,000, the same amount he'd taken. "I got a scholarship refund," he said. "This belongs to you." I didn't take it. Instead, I said, "Use it to start your own account. Build something of your own." He smiled, and for the first time in years, it wasn't his father's smirk. It was his own. A year later, Mark called again. He wanted Noah to move in with him, saying he'd found another great opportunity. This time, Noah said no. I was standing nearby when I heard him. "Dad," he said firmly, "I don't want to be like you. I want to be like Mom." I didn't say anything then. I just went to the window, looked out at the rain sliding down the glass, and let the silence hold everything that words couldn't. For 17 years, I'd been told I was too small, too quiet, too ordinary. But in the end, my quiet was what saved us. Now, every morning, I walk to work through the misty Seattle streets, past coffee shops and gray rooftops, feeling something I hadn't felt in years: peace. Sometimes revenge doesn't look like shouting or winning. Sometimes it looks like finally being seen.